What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with an album that has been waiting in the wings for quite some time. That is Eve 6 and their album Horrorscope. Thank you to Yvonne for this. This is a 2000 album. And yes, ultimately, I like the phrase horoscope. Obviously, there's a play on words there, and it certainly changes the essence of what would normally be horoscope. But yes, I don't know anything about Eve 6, so I have no context for what this might be sonically, or, how prolific, or, what size their discography might be. Either way, yes, we're jumping to this 2000 album, and the opening tune on the album, let me make sure I have this right. In fact, now my eyes are so bad. Yeah, Rescue. So a single word title, of course. Now, to rescue someone or something, is to save it from falling apart or being destroyed or being harmed or in some way missing the opportunity or context for which it is best suited and or intended. So to rescue, of course, is a verb, though rescue, as in a rescue, is a noun. Maybe it'll function in both of those grammatical capacities. Nevertheless, I don't really have any context here for songwriting tendencies or other tunes I've heard by them, so let's jump into it. This is Eve 6, the song is Rescue, and it's the first tune on the 2000 album Horrorscope.
In the backyard, stars shine brighter than the others that I rarely see through the small days that covers the home that I used to live in. Yeah, we kind of sort of knew what was gonna happen when she put her number down on a restaurant napkin and she said goodbye. Thankful words for when you're back in town. Let's have each other again. Oh, I'll come around and see you again. Bad habits, gets her drinks for free, animated vixen, stole Cupid's arrow and came to rescue me. In the blink of an eyelid, my lid opened up and I could see that she'd come to rescue me. I tasted southern zen with a girl who was just perfection. Had a two-room condo back in a wealthy section of the Florida flatlands, where she had me kept in a wicked trance for a day. Yeah, we kind of sort of knew what was gonna happen when she and a friend came and met me in Atlanta. I professed my love in an animalistic manner, like an endless foreign flick. My subtitles were sick. Like Jessica Rabbit, she collects bad habits, gets her drinks for free, animated
up at the end. So I do have to note, speaking of vocals, the vocal rhythms, like in the verses, it was like as soon as it would get to the end of one line, it was like rolling over phonetically and rhythmically right into the next line, and the vocal agility, or the breath control to do that, I was impressed by. Now in the chorus, it was a bit more traditionally like sung, but yeah, the rhythms of the vocals in the verses was very compelling. And lyrically, there's a lot of funny lines in here, and I was not expecting a reference to Jessica Rabbit, if you've ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and collecting bad habits. But in that regard, even the lines themselves, like in the blink of an eyelid, which like normally in the blink of an eye, like something that happens very fast, but in the blink of an eyelid, my lid opened, like the wordplay and the phrasing, there was a cleverness to it. And again, like, she took Cupid's arrow, and like the narrator is the one being rescued by her, even though it sounds like she's a bit much, and she's a vixen, and it sounds like there's definitely a visual component, and an excitement on the part of the narrator, but also was she and a friend left him in Atlanta or something like that. Like, there's parts here where it seems like it's comical, and maybe he's like, not out of his league, but like, he's met his match, and she's almost like, too much for him to handle, and nevertheless he's focused on her and feels rescued by her, and eventually, again, she's running toward him wearing almost nothing at all, and like her lips touch his, and so like I don't quite know how to take this. And again, if she's collecting bad habits, then it sounds like there's a bit of risk or a bit of danger involved, but it certainly seems like he is very keyed in on her in a way that is just about mostly positive. So yeah, definitely there's a cleverness to the writing, there's comedy to the writing, there's rhythmically compelling flow to the writing, and then, as I said, I enjoyed the vocals already, but then when you get to the end, he was really heating them up a little bit. And then guitar-wise, like, there was that heavier riff, which felt, kind of harder-edged alternative rock, like turn of the millennium alternative rock, but there were also guitar lines that had a more, melodic nature to them. And then there was some electric sounds in there. It wasn't terribly electronic, but there were a couple touches here and there where you could definitely hear, it was more than just like, guitar, bass guitar, drums, and vocals. So yeah, definitely I like the production on the track. So really cool opener, and one that I'm keen to hear more lyrically and to sort of just, digest those lines some more. And yeah, ultimately a very cool opener. Thank you again to Yvonne. Looking forward to the rest of the album. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.